The creative aspect is, I guess, what I love about it the most, and then the reward when you're done. I mean, there's nothing better than that. You built probably hundreds of patios and walkways, and speaking of hardscape, and driveways, and people love them. They're awesome. They're a creation. You can get real artistic with it if they'll let you. But when you add running water next to a patio, someone's backyard, pond, they come out and a lot of them cry, hug you, they love it. You give them a piece of time. The reason to go out to that patio and spend time with their family next to a water feature, no matter if it's getting up in the morning, having a cup of coffee or a glass of wine in the evening, it's a reason to go outside rather than just a hardscape or a barbecue, which is great, but they interact outside. That outdoor living space becomes more attractive and draws you outside to go sit next to that water feature.
Exactly. Good morning. We are out here in
Lake Oswego,
also known as Portland.
Yeah, South Portland,
Oregon.
Yeah.
And it is an incredible area. Like, we're in this crazy house, Luke's friend, right on the lake. It's awesome. But the reason we were out here is we were building a water feature with Evan from Pride, Nick from NC Outdoor, and you.
Yep.
Luke from
Neathery Landscape.
So let's kick it off.
Fire away.
Who's Luke from Neathery Landscape?
This guy.
Hey, what's your story, man?
So I was a young kid, 12 years old. My dad lost his job, basically, is how I got in this business. And he said, if you want to play football and rodeo, you got to pay for it yourself. So there's my lawnmower. So went down the street and just started cutting grass, $10 a whack, and that kind of just...
$10.
$10.
And how old were you? You said
I was 12, so
yeah.
it was, 97, 98?
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, so that grew all the way through high school, and I didn't want to be a landscaper. I didn't want to be anything but circumstances at the end of high school, kind of plan A, plan B went down the drain, so I was making good money, so I just kept cutting grass, and then went and got some design certificates, irrigation, hydraulics, basically just got educated in landscaping, and then from there just kind of kept it going. So here we are today.
Well, he's being modest. He's also a horse trainer, rodeo guy. He was competing in Vegas for this massive money pot, right?
Yeah.
So he's not one of those fake cowboys with the hat walking down the street. He's the real deal.
I wouldn't venture that far, but
I mean, you're a horse trainer for some of these big names that you know.
Yeah, I did train horses for 5-6 years. I quit landscaping in 2008, 2009. Great time to be a landscaper.
Right. Yeah.
Went and trained horses, and then came back to it to 2015. Started over and really went towards the outdoor living, hardscapes, water features, all that.
Okay, so when you came back, you were kind of like, that was your focus, is to get into the actual outdoor living space.
Yes. Yeah.
In Bend, Oregon, right?
Yep.
Which I camped just south of there 5 years ago when we were on a road trip with family.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful area. Like, we're 2 hours from there right now?
About 3.
3 hours.
Yeah,
okay, so
about
we're on
3
the
hours.
west side of the Rockies, basically, from that, or the Cascades.
The Cascades.
Yeah.
Yep. We're on the west side. I live on the east side where it's nice and dry. It doesn't rain.
Right. Not raining like it is
here.
If it weren't raining, we'd be out there in the lake right now. Recording this. But so when you how big is your company? How many people do you have today?
Today, well, it's wintertime. We're slow, so I mean, back over the summer when we were full occupancy, we were running six guys. Yeah, well, including office staff. So I try to run two-man crews. Sometimes have a third for a floater. So about 2 crews we run. We're doing about $1 million a year. Yeah. A little over, a little under, depending on the year. So that's about where we're averaging. Gonna up that hopefully this year. Just knowing our numbers now. Yeah. So that's about it.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm a fan of the 2-man crew with a floater idea. Like, it's just super efficient. When you have 2 crews, then you can be like, you can build one up when you're just like, when you can utilize them. But if you're breaking ground on a new job, you're just shooting lasers and excavating, like, there's no point in having 4 people there.
No.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you got the proper machines. They make a huge difference on a job site. So.
Yeah. Well, what is your ideal, like, what's kind of like your bread and butter, your ideal project now?
Water features, rec ponds. Rec ponds with hardscapes is the ideal.
Okay.
Those are fun. They're very interactive, and people just love them, eat them up. You know, building basically a natural swimming pool in a pond, something that's naturalistic that the customer, you know, they enjoy year round. You know, no matter if they have fish in it or if they, you know, just a swim pond. But instead of shutting it down, putting a cover over it,
you enjoy it all winter.
You can enjoy it all winter.
Yeah.
So, especially with the waterfalls and the natural, you have a piece of nature in your backyard, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the ideal project, but you know, at the end of the day, we're a hardscape company, we're a landscape company, so
it's a full outdoor living space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did you get into? I mean, I love water features. Obviously, that's why we're here in town right now. We're building a water feature together. But like, how did you get into the water features?
I get into the water features. I don't know. I've done a handful here and there because the customer wanted them, but they weren't really built correct. They were, you know, straight lines, and didn't ever really use flagstone, but just didn't know how to work with the boulders, and I kind of YouTube ran across, started with the Dirt Monkey and then rolled into Jack with Atlantis Water Gardens, and then went down a rabbit hole to Aquascape, Greg Woodstock, you guys at Tussey, and that was like, I got to learn something. So that's when I dove into it full-fledged, especially when I started seeing now the profit margins are higher. It's funner, and it's just something I just took to and love it.
Yeah,
so
it's really it's a creative thing.
Yeah, the creative aspect is, I guess, what I love about it the most, and then the reward when you're done. I mean, there's nothing better than that. But
we'll talk about that reward. What do you mean? In case you're a hardscape guy, I've never done a water feature.
Yeah, so you built probably hundreds of patios and walkways, and speaking of hardscape, and driveways, and people love them. They're awesome. They're a creation. You can get real artistic with it if they'll let you. But you know, when you add running water next to a patio, someone's backyard, pond, you know, koi pond, whatever it is, the reaction you get from especially the women, the wives, is they come out and a lot of them cry, hug you, they love it. You give them a piece of, well, like I was telling you yesterday, you give them a piece of time. Now they got a reason, the reason to go out to that patio and spend time with their family next to a water feature, no matter if it's getting up in the morning, having a cup of coffee or a glass of wine in the evening. It's a reason to go outside rather than just a hardscape or, you know, a barbecue, which is great, but they interact outside. That outdoor living space becomes more attractive and draws you outside to go sit next to that water feature.
Exactly. I think we should just just share that story you were telling me yesterday about the...
Oh, so this was right after I became a CAC. We were doing a small pondless waterfall for a couple. They're probably retirement age, and they were wanted basically a 10-foot stream with 6-8 foot waterfall right next to their outdoor patio, which I didn't install, but they just called us because they are water features. They call us up, go out, do the consultation, do the install. You know, it was great. We got it done in 2 days. Came back the third day. She came out that morning and just gave me a big old hug, started crying. I was like, you know, and one or two's cried before, and it's great. It's very fulfilling when you have a customer give you that reaction to something you just created. Yeah. But she's just like, no, I gotta really tell you, thank you. You gave my husband and I the connection we haven't had in 10 years, I think she said. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you gave us the gift of time. I'm like, how's that? She goes, you created something in our backyard. We came out here last night with a bottle of wine and a cheese platter and sat here for 4 or 5 hours and just talked next to this waterfall. And then this morning, she's like, a connection we haven't had in years. The healing in our marriage just from this water feature that was here 4 or 5 hours, and she's just bawling, crying. And I'm trying not to cry. And then she's like, and then this morning we got up, we came out here with a pot of coffee and just listened to the waterfall and connected for another 2 hours before he went to work. So that was, I mean, soul tapping. Yeah. It touches you, and it's like I gave them, and I didn't even mean to. I was just creating a water feature. I gave them a reason to connect. And she's like, you gave us the gift of time. And it was like, so. And
that's what's special about water features.
Yeah, that's what's really special about water features.
Because you don't get that when you plant a tree. You don't get that when you put in an outdoor kitchen.
No. You don't, even if you put a light on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I don't even really know if I can articulate why that is, but it is.
You know, the sound of water is very healing.
Yeah, people are attracted. I mean, you think about lakefront property, oceanfront property, fountains in a city. That's where people hang out, you know?
Water is life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that story right there is what gets me up in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I absolutely love it.
And I think in our society today, where that is reprieve the right word from the nuts rat race we tend to kind of throw ourselves into in daily life, like just getting that back to like human to human connection, that relationship around water, like that's because that attracts you in, and that makes you kind of sit back. It's therapeutic. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what's so awesome about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, wasn't really going to be a water feature podcast, but that's why I loved water features.
Yeah.
Still do, and even with what I'm doing now with SynkedUP, like I gotta be honest. Like it's bittersweet. Like I don't get to do these every day anymore, but because of SynkedUP, I can do these things now.
Oh yeah.
You know, here we are across the country building a water feature. I was in Colorado earlier this summer doing it with Matt Heiner. You know, we built one in there. So I'll get out there and get my boots dirty once in a while.
Yeah.
So.
A couple times a year.
Yeah.
Knock the dust off. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was fun building that thing yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun.
We got to cut some B-roll into the video of this podcast showing you what we built. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And last night we had such awesome weather. Like it was golden hour, sun going down. The sky was just ablaze. We had just plugged it in like an hour earlier. The lights were coming on. The client cried.
Yep.
Like it was the whole it
Yeah.
was like this idyllic scene.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Great experience. And then, you know, especially this time of year, it's February in Portland, Oregon. I had multiple rain slickers ready to go, muck boots. Like this is going to be kind of a nightmare.
Well, I'm glad you brought it, because if you'd have forgot it.
If I would have forgotten it, it would have downpoured. But then we had 2 days of sunshine in February, which never happens. And yeah, it was like just ideal.
It was awesome.
It couldn't have been better.
Yeah. Well, what is one of the roughest things you had to go through as business?
Ooh. 2008.
Really?
Yeah, that was rough.
So you were actually you were operating your landscape business back then?
Yeah. So
is that when you went to go train horses?
Yeah. So it was basically 2009. I went to train horses full time. I did it for fun, part time here and there.
Yeah.
The winter times when it was slow, but I went full time in 2009. But 2008 was rough because we were more of a maintenance based company back then. I did installs. You know, just landscaping, was getting into the hardscapes a little bit. Did a handful of hardscapes, but for the most part, it was just landscaping, 2 maintenance crews, and then 2008 just.
So the landscapes started canceling? I mean, I'm sorry. The maintenance started canceling.
Yeah, maintenance went down to, I don't know. We had over 100, and we dropped down to like 30 in 6 months. Clients.
Wow.
Just done. And then, as far as the install side, there was. You know, we went from like bidding, 10 projects, 12 projects a month to 1 every other month, and then you're bidding it against 10 other companies. Oh my. And it was the low man gets the contract kind of deal. So it was tough. It was tough, especially where we're at in Central Oregon. The population's lower population. So, and it's more of a resort town, and it has a lot of landscapers. There's a lot of contractors, period, because there's a lot of work when it's booming, but when it's not, it's crashing pretty hard. So yeah, I would say that's the hardest part, but hardest thing I've been through in business. And technically I didn't make it. I mean, we probably could have kept going, but I had.
So you just closed doors?
I just closed doors. I had a job offer, and I was down to a one-man show. I mean, I only had a couple employees back then.
Yeah.
I went down to a one-man show, and it was we were still just getting by.
Yeah.
And then they offered me a salary job, and I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Back to one of those things. Didn't really want to be a landscaper anyways, when I was a kid and growing up. But came back to it 3 times, so here we are.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've been given?
Ooh, that's a long list. I've gotten a lot of great advice. I'd say the best thing for me in my business and the success is being willing to learn, willing to ask, willing to reach out, find a mentor, find other people in the industry and learn as much as you can. I mean, that mentor part, No matter if it's business, whatever you're doing in your craft, whether it's landscaping or electrician or whatever it is, find someone you can collaborate with. I mean, that's where I've learned the most, especially when it comes to the water feature side, is and hardscapes, is collaborating, being able to have a network of people you trust. You can call up, hey, how do you do this? And being, I guess, being open to suggestion.
Yeah.
You got to be able to take criticism and suggestion. That's the best way to grow and learn. But the network, find a mentor, that'd be.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if I would not have that in my life, like I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just I mean, books are great. All that's, I mean, it's but you gotta be able to put all that stuff into, like, all the theory into shoe leather.
Yeah.
And that's what a mentor kind of helps you do. Well, how did we get to know each other? Was the first thing you did reach out about SynkedUP, or did we know each other? Did we talk before that?
I think we talked on your YouTube channel. I asked a few questions and back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, like, that was really cool how you built that waterfall. How'd you angle that, or how'd you wedge that big boulder? You know, I was learning, diving into that stuff, just back and forth on YouTube. And then SynkedUP, we're looking at a company, because we were just pen and paper on everything, and we looked into a couple companies, and then I saw you talk about it one day on the Tussy Instagram channel, and I was like, well, dude, hook a brother up, man. Like, what is this thing? So, yeah, and it was at the very beginning of SynkedUP, and it was a game changer for us. But yeah, that's basically how we met, just reaching out, social media.
So now that you're on Sync, like, yeah, you were one of the first ones. Like, the first winter we were signing people up is when you started. So one of the OGs. But to try to give people some perspective, like, what's different now? Like, what's a thing that you can point at? So now since SynkedUP we do this or that versus the way I did it in the past.
Oh, it's a night and day difference. We can go into a lot of different things, from the estimating. The biggest thing, as cliche as this is going to sound, is actually knowing my numbers down into the details. So if you went, I would item catalog in that.
Yeah.
In the system, being able to have everything you need per job, build it out, and your percentages are already right there. I would forget to charge for some materials, let alone have the right markup and percentage on them, and have my numbers built into the system.
You just forget the little detail.
The little detail, and it'll nickel and dime you and cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, at least hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then being able to, the real time of having a crew out, what did they do today? I can jump on there that evening and look at their notes, look at what materials were used that day, and how long it took them. So that part is the real time tracking, and then the templates. Yeah, that's a game changer. Especially now I'm actually using them, right? I'm not very good at computers, and it's I'm a little behind the 8 ball for the templates, but you know, being that would probably be the best. Is the templates and the real time, and not missing anything on my estimates, being able to build them right. So
well, that's my goal, though. Is like a lot of people in this industry aren't great at computers, right?
Yeah.
So that's my goal, is to make it something that is.
It's simple.
It's simple. Like, you don't have to be a computer guy. You can just like drag and drop, put it together. You know. But yeah, to your point about templates, like, if you're like, well, like, kind of like your store, you've been using it for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And if you're now getting into the templates, but like, dude, you will save so much time just by putting it. You'll forget less things.
Well, and then I could actually have someone else do the estimate.
And that's the beauty.
That's the big game changer for me, because I mean, back when we were doing paper, I was building all these estimates just on paper, and then when we got into SynkedUP, it was like, oh, this is so much faster. But then it's even faster with the templates.
Yeah,
because
it's like you keep stacking.
If you have a 200 square foot patio and it's already built, you can have that template built to where, well, we've done this product before. It's just a drag and drop. You just got to put your square footages and your extra grade in. And the water feature, like we have those packages, you know, from pondless to ponds, and it's all built right there. Instead of me having to like go through, which I thought was great with the item catalog, I just build them manually and it was still quick, fast, but now it's
So it's kind of like you're stacking.
Brings it way down as far as your time.
If you're coming from paper, you know, building them with an item catalog, I mean, that's a big upgrade. And you're not doing the math manually anymore. It's all being calculated for you. But then do templates, and then you'll save time searching through the item catalog, and you'll be able to have someone else do it. And it just keeps right on building.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a game changer for sure.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's the, and you know, kind of the point I've been making at some of the talks I was doing is like, you know, knowing your numbers is not the end all be all. Knowing your numbers is a stepping stone to the result, to the outcome. Like, no, it's not about like, oh, I'm going to geek out and nerd out and understand exactly how this math works and like know my numbers. But knowing your numbers is really just like putting every cost you have into your budget and then turning around and charging whatever that budget tells you should charge. Because everything that you miss putting into that budget, who pays for it? You do. Your profit does. What was supposed to be your profit goes and pays for that expense that you missed. And you do that too much. And that's where a lot of people are.
Oh, you feel it at the end of the year.
Yeah, or you work your tail off all year and you don't have anything to show for it.
That's it. Yeah. That's the biggest battle that every landscaper or contractor I've talked to, no matter what trade you're in, is that right there. Being able to, because you feel it at the end of the year when, you know, things get slow and you're like, holy crap, we made this much money, but where'd it go? It's gone. And being able to figure out what you missed, and, you know, and especially the hours, the man hours per job, that's huge. Being able to, I could jump on there.
It's so hard to be visible. Like, you know, you can get receipts for materials, but like man hours can be.
2 weeks later, you're like, oh crap, you know, and you realize it then 2 weeks later after it's done. Now you can see it every day. Like, hey, we're starting to get close to. You know, we got 1 day left on this project, and we still got 3 days worth of work. You can you can see that projection before it hits you in the face.
And it's triggering those like, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do different next time? Immediately, instead of like weeks later. What would I do if I had to go back and do that again? You know,
exactly. It allows you to be more on the offense within your company rather than on the defense. So,
I kind of got derailed with the whole know your numbers being a stepping stone. It's like, yeah, it's great knowing your numbers, knowing how that works. It's awesome. But what it really is for me, like, it's about like actually being able to run a profitable company, and actually being able to treat your team the way you want them to be treated, treat your customers the way you want your customers to be treated, and
live a quality of life.
Provide for your family the way you want to be. You know, it's not so that because if you suffer, if you fall on the sword, if you ignore this problem, and if you just kind of like, well, I'll just work harder. I mean, you're not the only one that's suffering. Your family and team around you suffers as well. You know, and you can't do as good for your customers as you wish you could.
Exactly. And then if you're more artistic on as an installer, your creativity is gone.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're stressed out working 60, 70 hours a week, like a lot of us have done, there's no creative. It's like creativity behind it. Your quality of product just goes down. It dominoes from there, and then everything spirals out of control, which I've done multiple times.
We've all done that.
So it's being able to have, you know, efficiency, time, quality, and quality of life is a big one for me. And be able to schedule it. Everything is right there in real time. So,
well, I appreciate you, man.
You bet, buddy.
Appreciate you being a part of the SynkedUP crew and your support. Like it's what gets me out of bed in the morning. You know, these kinds of relationships. So thank you.
I appreciate you guys. I mean, the best part I could say about SynkedUP is you're like a mom and pop company. I can call or text or message you guys at any time. If I got a problem, you're right there to fix it within 5 minutes. And a phone call away. I mean, I'm an idiot when it came to put my numbers in. It was like I had to FaceTime day after day after day. And they're like, hey, you got to just flip this little toggle. I'm like, oh, it's that simple. I'm overthinking it. But yeah, no. The support system you guys have behind SynkedUP is awesome.
Oh, appreciate that.
Top notch, man. We appreciate you.
I couldn't do it without the team. You know, like everybody that's working for us. It's just like, I mean, it's awesome. Like Fred's doing amazing. Like, everybody's doing amazing, and they make us all look good. So
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Well, I know you got to run to get a job started, right?
Yeah, I got to head back over the mountain.
What are you doing? What are you starting?
This is a job we did last year. They're just adding landscaping next to their patio. They want to build a mound and some trees, boulder work. So
Sure.
got the dirt truck coming today. So
So we do need to let you go.
yeah, I got to get over there and meet the dirt truck. Tell them where to dump. That way they don't dump it in the middle of the road.
Okay. All right. Well, hey,
So
it's good hanging out with you.
You bet,
and
buddy.
It was fun building that water feature together.
It was a blast
man.
building that water feature. That was a good collab.
It was.
That was good.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, good luck with your project.
all right, man.
And until next time, we'll see you.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
All right.